Well, once you start using a home bidet, you kind of become, there's sort of three types of users. There's people who have medical problems and they need one when they travel. But I would say the broad majority of users are people that once you get used to this thing at home, you kind of become what I call a bidet addict. And you just can't live without it. Especially when you go on a trip and you have that little bit of travel anxiety. And I don't know, I couldn't travel without it. So I made my own little MacGyvered version of one.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today. And I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's guest is going to be very interesting. He's solving a problem that I haven't even thought about this. But you know what? Trust me, you're going to feel this one, okay? He's an inventor, an entrepreneur, and the co-founder of a company that makes a real travel bidet. Yes, like the fancy thing that rich people have in their bathroom, but portable. So please let me welcome the one, the only, the amazing Steve Weiss.
What are you doing?
How you doing today? Well,
Good,
thank you for being on the show, first off.
Sure.
So, Steve, you're one of the co-founders of Porta Bidets. For our listeners who might not know, what exactly is a bidet, and why would we want a portable one?
Well, once you start using a home bidet, you kind of become, there's sort of three types of users. There's people who have medical problems and they need one when they travel. But I would say the broad majority of users are people that once you get used to this thing at home, you kind of become what I call a bidet addict. And you just can't live without it. Especially when you go on a trip and you have that little bit of travel anxiety. And I don't know, I couldn't travel without it. So I made my own little MacGyvered version of one, went to my company and said, I want to make this. They all said I was nuts. We made it and sold a lot on Kickstarter right off the bat.
All right, so we've been talking about bidets, but the kids need to know. What exactly is a bidet?
Okay. So it goes on your toilet and it washes you when you're done. It shoots water up at you when you're done. So in theory, if you just you can almost just get up and walk away. Some have dryers, but you use way less toilet paper and you are clean. I mean, really clean. Now ours has another feature where you can use this, what they call enema mode, which really gets up inside of you and it gets rid of that poop from, well, in my case, 1970. In your case, 2013. Let's go with that.
Okay. So what even
it's gonna get a little
inspired
crude.
this
I can't
idea?
help it.
Like, really, what even inspired this idea? Was it like a really bad hotel bathroom or something?
No, it's just that once you start using this thing, you really become, it's like your car. Can you go somewhere without your car? You get used to it and you need your car. It's just, I know people that go home from work because they can't live without it. And then they go back to work.
So did your friends think that you were crazy when you told them that you wanted a travel bidet?
Absolutely. Except my friends that are bidet addicts like me. But it's a clean addiction. It's not a bad addiction.
So what was the very first prototype like?
It was intense. I mean, well, wait. So my MacGyvered version that you probably don't know what MacGyver is, but your dad will explain.
MacGyver is.
Oh, you do? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not that old.
Version,
or young,
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. My MacGyvered version was like a hose that, the little hose that they have in the shower. I connected my hose to that hose, and it had like an end where I created like, I got a camera here, like a little lever that changed the pressure of the water came up at me, but water kind of got all over the room. So it started. Yeah. Now, the one that I have now, you sit and it kind of has a little lever that moves in from beneath you. It's perfectly clean. It has different types of wands, like a wash wand, an enema wand, a feminine wand, all these different types of wands. And it really functions like my $550 bidet on my toilet here at home. But I'm telling you, once you go bidet, there ain't no going back. It's you. And I know a lot of my one of my business partners, both her kids, one is 8 and one is like 13. They both use it. They just can't.
I have one. I think I actually bought
do?
one of your Porta Bidets. They're really good.
Oh, okay, you did. Okay, I did not know that. Okay, good to know. Glad to hear that.
So you're saying your invention has like real water pressure, and I can say it does. But how'd you pull that off in such like a small device?
That's a good question. Okay, so there is a pump and a motor combo in there, and we used very thin hoses to keep the pressure intense. So there are home bidets where they send like a sort of garden hose style water stream at you where you really get wet. Those are like the $35 jobs. When you move into these, $200 to $500 bidets, the water stream is extremely fine, like mine. And it just does what it needs to do in a very intense way. So by keeping all of the hosing thin and using a strong pump, which you notice there's 4 different speeds to it. So the key is you need a good battery, you need a strong pump and motor, and you got to keep the hosing thin. That's how we did it. And believe me, there were 40 or 50 prototypes before that final version you have.
So is it true that it attaches to any standard toilet seat? And how does that even work?
Well, that was difficult. I mean, we had to sort of make those track pieces, and then we went to Home Depot, Lowe's, all these places where they had 30 toilets, and we tried it on every single one. And then a lot of people, we made a part for cruise ships and for RVs because a lot of people wanted them in those types of arenas there, and it's kind of perfect for it. So that changes the size of that plate, the mounting plate. But yeah, that's the most difficult part, making it work on every single toilet. Some of these toilet seats kind of arc inwards like this. Some are flat. There's different shapes, and you got a lot of weight coming down in that, not with you, but with other people. So, but we've tested it up to 450 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's one thing you think kids should know about doing the work that you do?
You mean outside of the bidets?
No,
Are we just talking about
just
bidets
doing
now?
the work you do with the bidet?
Oh, with the bidet.
Like with the bidet business.
Well, I mean, I'm new into the bidet business. I created this bidet and we did a Kickstarter campaign and we sold a couple thousand of them. And we're just now starting to release it to the general public. And, it's a combination of exactly what you do, marketing, being on shows like this, ads. It's a lot of stuff to release a product like that. But we have some interesting other ideas that we're working on, which is called OEM, where we would literally manufacture one for another company under their label.
All right. Well, here seems like a good time to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut. That's a wrap. Just use that.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back here talking with Steve Weiss, inventor, designer, and founder of Porta Bidets. So, what's the hardest part about designing something that, has to work in any bathroom?
I guess the hardest part is the pump and tank and all of that is easy. I mean, it's not easy, but that just shoots out water. So I guess the hardest part is the mounting system. How do you figure out how to mount this on some toilets are sort of short and some are elongated, and some the bowl is more square at the end and some it's more oval at the end. So you have to start, using your 3D printer and printing out various different shapes and seeing that it doesn't rock. And another big problem is half the people in the world, their toilet seat rocks. The screws get loose and the thing moves left to right. So you got to deal with that too. I don't know. I mean, you've seen this happen, right? Most people don't know how to tie down their toilet seat. They're not that clever. So we got to deal with that motion too. So it's like designing any product. We like to make very universal products that work with multiple different devices, both in the film equipment and in bidets, and it's complicated. It's just a series of trial and error.
All right, so you advertise multiple spray modes, including enema mode. Why would you include that?
Enema mode. Well, because I love it. So again, I typically make all of the products for me. Every product I've ever made, I've designed with me in mind. It's difficult to design products where I've done it where I'm not the customer, but if I'm the customer, it's easy. I know what I like. So this spray mode shoots water like this, out. The enema mode shoots water straight up, in a sort of very fine stream. So it goes a little bit more inside of you, and when the water's warm, let's just say when you leave, you're lighter.
Okay.
A lot lighter.
So why not call it like the Master Blaster mode?
That's kind of clever. Some people, like on my bidet, they call it the vortex mode, which sounds really like harsh. But in truth, this vortex mode or the Master Blaster mode is in fact an enema. An enema is kind of an old school thing where you put warm water into you, and it, if you're constipated, this is nothing a 13, 14-year-old ever has. This is adult problems, but that's what it's for.
Okay. So how long does the battery last on like a full charge?
That's a good question. It depends now. So the thing works in 4 speeds. So obviously on the lowest speed, the battery will last longer. Most people that try this enema mode, they are using the lowest speed because it's a bit like a super soaker that has a very fine stream, okay, versus a little teeny water gun, okay. But I think that if you use the highest speed in the wash mode, it'll last about 40 minutes or something. So it's enough for your whole vacation. Yeah. Like I went to New York for 5 days. I never charged the battery once. Nice. And I like to use a lot of water. So, I'll be looking at my phone while I'm doing this thing. I don't care. It can go for 4 minutes. I'm fine.
Okay. So what kind of materials did you use to make sure it lasts through travel?
That's a good question. We use ABS plastic, which is pretty strong. You can kind of stand on that. And the parts are, we call it tooling, but you'd call it a mold. So every single part, you have to create a mold for it, but we refer to that as a tool. And it's a mold injected tool. So they pour hot goo and plastic in there and it goes, and the parts pop out. Kind of like, I don't know if they still have these things, but do you remember when you go to a store and it would make like a little animal for you? Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah.
That was a mold injected tool where the machine, you pour in this hot molten plastic, ABS, and they cool it in there and then it ejects the part. So it's called mold injection. So I would say, we're using ABS plastic for most of the parts. Obviously the pump, there's a board in there that has firmware that allows you to select the different speeds and charging modes. It gives you a light and it has a little on-off switch when you travel so it can't accidentally turn on when it's in your luggage. So you have a board, you have a pump, you have a bunch of internal hosing. It's pretty simple. And then you have all these wand joints and whatnot, and that's all created out of ABS plastic. And I'll tell you even one more thing that people don't know. So if you have two parts that go together like this, that's called a family mold. So when you build the tool, it'll have both halves of the parts in there. You pour in the molten ABS, and when it ejects it, both parts come out.
So, what's the funniest reaction that you've ever gotten when you told someone your job?
I don't know if I can say this, but somebody said it's a shitty business, but somebody's got to do it.
Not wrong. So, you launched this on a Kickstarter. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was interesting. The nice thing about the Kickstarter is it shows you what the need is. In other words, the people in my company, I come up with lots of crazy ideas, and I would say 9 out of 10 of them fail and 1 succeeds, which is kind of like the movie business. You make 10 movies and you hope that 1 or 2 hit. It's pretty much like any business. So they wanted to do the Kickstarter to see what the need was. And in a month, we sold close to, 1,500 units, which shows a pretty good need without a lot of advertising. And we learned from it. We learned that there were about a third of the people had medical problems where they needed this, and a third kind of wanted just to get they were just sort of used to it, and then a third were hardcore addicts like me that they just literally. I knew a guy that told me he only travels to Japan because all hotels in Japan have bidets. Another guy told me that he buys a home bidet, ships it to the hotel, and literally undoes the plumbing in the hotel and installs this to the plumbing. I'm like, they're okay with that? He's like, I don't care. I just do it. So I've heard some crazy stories about people. One guy at the very beginning said to me, he goes, if you sell me one of your prototypes, I'll pay 3 times the price for it because I need it now. So a lot of people cannot travel. They're so addicted to their bidet. And again, it's a healthy addiction. It's not like drugs. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
No drugs. But this is a healthy addiction. It's keeping clean. It just, I don't know. I just did a photo shoot yesterday and I didn't have any kind of travel or portable bidet with me and I was miserable.
Let's not use the word addiction. How about we use the word habit? Yeah. Like a healthy habit.
Fine. I don't care. I like healthy addiction because it's funny and you like to be funny. So, it's a clean addiction. How about that?
There you go. Okay.
It's not a drug addiction. It's a healthy addiction.
So how would you encourage kids to be inventors like you?
Well, kids are inventors. I mean, the funny thing is my business partner and I, we worked together our whole lives. I mean, when we weren't friends when we were young, but I mean, how many things have you tried? Like when you're a kid and you try to get your bicycle to sound like a motorcycle, or, when you build a tree fort and you try to have some sort of an elevator that goes up there, or, kids are the greatest inventors in the world because you got this incredible imagination. When they grow up, people are terrified to invent things because they could fail. But a kid doesn't care if he fails when he's young. That's the key. If you want to be a great inventor, you can't be fearful of failure.
So, what's one moment in your career that really surprised you or taught you something big?
See, now that's the kind of question I want you to ask. Because now I'm thinking, what's one that taught me to think? I would probably say when I created my first part for my film company. I just did not like the way the camera worked. I'm a shoulder mounter from way back, and the camera did not mount on your shoulder. These little, in the video revolution, they were tiny boxes. And when we got that built and had hand grips, I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Oh no, I have a better one actually. When it just occurred to me, when they came out with these mirrorless style cameras in around 2008, the Canon 5D Mark II, I looked at it and I was like, oh, I thought I was going to be able to look through the viewfinder when I shot video. And I'm like, great, I can have like real optical focus like we had with film cameras. But then when I turned it on, I realized you had to look at the screen to shoot video. And then I sat back and I thought, oh my God, when I had my old film camera, way back when I was younger than you, there was this optical loop, and I ran and found my camera bag. I took it out, I stuck it on the back, and I showed it to my business partner. I said, look at this. Now I can see like a real film camera. So it's like you use all the knowledge you have in the past and you think about everything that you did, and you're like, okay, how do I do this? Now, AI can help nowadays. Like today, I was working on a product that I have in my mind, and I was using AI. So I'm cheating a little bit, but I mean, I'm using my knowledge and I'm using AI, and AI didn't give me the answer I wanted, but it made me think of an even better answer. So you can use these tools, just like I would use people in the past, to give me knowledge that I don't know.
Well, it seems like we're going to have you back on the show to talk about that job in like a month or two, because that's a lot. Wow. So
Yeah.
Why would a kid listening today want to grow up and do your job?
Well, invention is what America's all about. I mean, we don't need to create the items here. We need to invent the items here. I mean, we can create the items here. I do assemble these bidets here in Chicago. I'm not, obviously I'm not making all the parts here. But if you were to say one thing about this country is that we are innovators. Look at our movies. That is the greatest thing that we export to the world. They're in English and they're in every country in the world. Americans are innovators and inventors, and people copy our products. But that is the one thing that nobody can take away from us, is that we are innovators and inventors.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And we're back here talking with Steve Weiss. He's an inventor, entrepreneur, and one of the bathroom tech geniuses behind Porta Bidets. So, what is one skill a kid should learn if they want to invent things when they grow up?
Use your imagination. I mean, you see, you're young. If I gave you a project right now, you would have come up with an invention. Adults, I've heard many adults say to me, I'm not a very creative person. And that really turns me off. You are. Everyone is a creative person. I don't care if you're a lawyer. Lawyers are the most creative people in the world. They come up with a way to get, that's their job. Most jobs have a creative component to it. You have to. One of the things I say to my business partner is when we go to work every day, I say, this reminds me of when we played in our tree fort. There's really no difference. If you can get back in your tree fort, you can create and invent. And I don't feel, it's funny. I looked, my daughter is working on this clothing line where she's taking pictures that she drew when she was 12 and making them now when she's 22. And I'm looking at the images and they have many of the same influences that she drew when she was 12. I took some photos when I was 11 that I looked at the other day, and I'm still doing the same sort of thing now. I was always shooting through windows. You really don't grow up your creative mind, if you use it properly, past the age of 12. If you can tune back into that, you'd be surprised at what you can invent. You've invented a show here. You could use.
I did.
You can use it.
Now, here the questions get harder now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's one challenge kids don't realize that inventors face?
Fear. You'll never invent or do anything if you have fear. You know what the great president once said about fear?
What?
The only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
It's true.
It is true. Don't have fear. And don't be afraid to try stuff. Don't care what people think about you. Go for it. Look at you. You're doing this crazy show. You're not afraid. You just went for it. You're an inventor. You invented this show.
So, what's the hardest part about running a company then?
Oh, that's a whole nother ball of wax. I mean, you can just, the one thing that you need to do is figure out. So often you get this scenario where people want to start a production company for filmmaking and they're both creative. That's not what you want. You need a business partner and a creative partner, okay? Because the moment you're both creatives and you find a job and you go do it, you're unemployed that second till you find a new job. So you want that business partner doing a new job. When you go into business, I run it like a military. You have sales team, you have a business and marketing team, and you have a creative team. I'm part of the creative team and I like doing that. I'm not part of the business team. I don't know anything about social media and marketing or any of that. You find those people. Okay. That's the key.
So, what is a mistake that you made that taught you a big lesson?
You know what? I was concerned about your questions and they're quite good. I'm a little surprised now. You might be able to teach me a thing or two. What is that question again?
So, what's a mistake that you made that taught you a big lesson?
I would say I have this sort of boyish nature where I don't think through all of the things that can happen down the road. I developed a dating app and I didn't realize that the problem with a dating app is that you need to have two people on the app in order for it to work. That's harder than making an app where just people download it and use it.
Yeah.
So like I was telling you, I have this AI pet app and people just download it and you can use it. Great, easy. But the dating app, you got to have a ton of men and a ton of women on there to make it work. So I made a fatal mistake there. But you know something? I've made 4 apps and I've learned from each one. So sometimes you have to understand that it's okay. Failure is great. As a matter of fact, I promote failure in my company. What I don't like is when you make the same mistake twice, because now you're not learning. So it is weird that people in my company, I say, go ahead and make all the mistakes you want, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing the creative envelope. You're just playing it safe. And if you're playing it safe, you're not going to make a great show like you have.
So, Steve, you mentioned AI. Do you think AI and technology will help inventors or take away opportunities?
No, it's going to help inventors. I mean, AI doesn't say, oh, I want to make a bidet today. You come to it and you say you want to make a bidet today. And then you say, okay, let's research pumps and let's talk about how we get the maximum amount of pressure. So it's basically like a super powered engineer. But at this point in time, AI makes a lot of mistakes. You have to really kind of ask it things multiple times and say, I don't see this working. It's like, oh, you're absolutely right. And it's like, but 5 seconds ago, you told me it would work, so AI is in its infancy, but it will get rid of some jobs, but you still need, it's nothing but a professor. So it's a professor to help you answer questions. Before AI, I just used to go to electricians. I would go to people who were in the pumping business, and I would ask them the questions. It was real human AI. It just wasn't quite as fast as it is now.
So, what have you learned about yourself during your career that you wish that you knew earlier?
Use other people's money when you're creating products. I've always used my own money, and that puts a lot of strain on your company. You want investors. And I learned business from my grandparents who came from Europe and the old school world. And, they didn't know what investors were. But if you use investor money, then you're not really strapping yourself hard on a potential failure, because some things are going to fail, as we discussed, and it's good to fail because you're pushing the envelope. If you fear failure, you cannot be an entrepreneur.
Well, speaking of inventor money, if you could create your dream project, no limits, what would it be?
I don't know. I got to think it up. It's like a daily thing. I basically look at life, and everywhere I go, I'm like, I don't like this.
Well, then think about it.
Almost every day, I can think of something that can be improved. Now, the question is there a need for it? My daughter was like, oh, if we had this part for a sewing machine, it would make the process go so much faster. I'm like, okay, that's lovely. We all have great ideas, but A, is there a market for it? And B, it takes a lot of money to market it, and every single new product in a new space requires the same old stuff, advertising, marketing, it's a business, so you got to kind of pick the businesses you want to be in. I'm trying to be more diversified now and pick multiple different businesses in different industries, so that if one of your product categories is down, hopefully another one will be up, and that's kind of a good entrepreneurial way. But it's difficult because you got to learn how to market in different industries. I don't know the first thing about the marketing in the bidet industry, but people in my company are learning, But like she said, if I had another idea, she's like, okay, I can't deal with that right now. She doesn't want any part, of this venture or that venture, because it's starting a new business every time you do it.
So on your off time, what do you like to do for fun?
Invent things. It's in you. I don't know. What do I like to do? I guess I like to swim and ride my bike and, see my kid, but I don't know, shoot photos, work on videos. It's the same. Once you get into this, you sort of do it forever.
Well, do you play any video games? And if so,
No,
what's your favorite one?
I'm not a video game player.
No?
Not
Not even on your phone?
No. Nope. And it's funny you say that, because other people I found in the creative industry, they're typically not into sports. They're typically not gamers. Their brain is wired differently, and it's like, here I'm in Chicago. You get into a cab. They're like, "What do you think of them Bears?" I'm like, "Oh God, I don't know." But I'd say, yeah. It's really good. It's good or bad, or I don't know what. But that's kind of how creative people are. They're using a different side of their brain.
So, what's your favorite book to read?
I would say The Fountainhead, which is about a creator. It was written by Ayn Rand in 1950, maybe. And he's an architect that is so that he decides to do a job for the government, a public works community. And he said, "I will only do it if you swear to me that you will not change one single part of it, because that's taking away from my creative vision." And then they went ahead and changed a part of it, and he burned the entire thing to the ground. And then he goes to the court and he says, "My case is they promised that they took something away from me by changing this one single thing, and it gives me the right to destroy it." It would be like me changing your show. How would you feel about that?
I'd be very frustrated.
That's right. Or if let's say a company came to you and said, "We want to buy your show, but we don't want you wearing that red hat, that red bow tie, or those suspenders."
Too damn bad.
Well, that's the whole point of The Fountainhead. It's a great book, and it deals with this sort of creative ideology, and it's sort of loosely based on Frank Lloyd Wright, who was an architect.
All right. So, what was the biggest mistake that you've ever made in life or work, and how did it change you as a person?
I don't, nothing I've done is a mistake. It's a learning experience. I don't look at it that way. It's very negative. It's like every time you make a mistake, like I tell my employees, make tons of mistakes. I want you to make mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you're not pushing that creative envelope. So every mistake I've made, I've learned from. And that's sort of kind of worth the money.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show, but that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me. I won't tell anyone.
Okay, so the one story that I'm not supposed to tell anyone. These are great questions, man. You got me thinking. Wow, you kind of got me there. I don't know. One story that I'm not supposed to tell anyone. I'm thinking. You're going to have to do a little cutting here. And that's where you cut to you laughing.
Yeah.
So that you can come right back to me and cut 10 minutes out. So one story that I'm not supposed to tell anyone. Well, I didn't go to college.
Oh, really?
So I learned everything on my own, which I think helped me, because I didn't have this whole way of thinking that they teach you how to do in college. And a lot of the kids in my neighborhood were like, "Well, Steve didn't go to college, so why do I?" But I tell them, I was already creating things when I was in your age. and doing things. And I had ideas to do different types of shows and things just like you. And so I guess, but I don't really, people often say, oh, where did you go to school? I'm like, West Bloomfield High School. That's where I went to school.
Yeah. So is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you and what you do?
That's not a good question because I don't know how to answer that. What am I supposed to say? Not really. I mean, I don't want them knowing anything about me. I'll speak about these topics, but I don't want them to know, what do they call that? Doxing? I don't want to know anything.
Well,
yeah,
do you have like a Facebook or a website for my listeners that want to follow you or your company?
Okay, well, that's another thing. I don't do social media at all, but obviously there is for Porta Bidets. It's portabidets.com, and I have absolutely no idea what our Facebook or our Instagram are, but they're there. If you go to portabidets.com, it tells you all of that. But yeah, I guess that would be a secret that I wouldn't want people to know, is that I don't really believe in social media except for business. It's a great tool for business, but personally, I could care less.
Okay, well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
These are really good. I mean, you're a good interviewer. I would say, what makes a good life?
Well, what does make a good life?
You get this much time doing the things that you enjoy doing with a certain amount of giving back. I don't know, your father stated it much better than me. So if he wasn't rolling, ask him that.
Well, I've asked him that question many, many times. I always forget the answer. But
I think he said every day, he said something like, every day I ask myself, what's that? Yeah, he writes an epitaph. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you, Steve, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Okay, I guess, yeah. I only have a couple minutes.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Steve, for helping me with Math Corners. And this week, we're solving what's the word problems. My dad is always going to find new problems for me to solve. And today, we're going to talk about the costs of producing something. You might be good at this one, okay? So, Ethan has designed a cool phone holder that, he 3D printed. Everyone wants one, but has no idea how much to make. The plastic filament costs $1.20 per holder, and the hinge costs 80 cents, and then the rubber grips cost 50 cents each. Now, he asked to add the electricity, run the 3D printer, that costs 30 cents a holder, and the shipping will be $2 per holder. If he sells them for $10 each, how much profit will he make on each holder? I'll just go ahead and do it. Well, this is a first world problem because production costs have to be clear before you start selling a product. So first you have to deal with the material costs. $1.20 for plastic, plus 80 cents for the hinge, and $2 and add the 50 cents for the grips, and that's about $2.50. Well, then you have to add the power, and then that's going to be $2.80 for a total production cost. But then you have to ship the product, so you add the $2 in shipping, and it's costing about $4.80 each to produce, like without getting any labor costs. So if he sells them for $10, he'll probably make around $5.20 each in profit. Thank you so much, Steve, for your help with Math Corners. And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about integrity. For me, I think integrity is doing what is right, even when no one else is looking. The qualities of integrity is honesty, sincerity, truthfulness. Well, I was in technology class, and I was doing a project, where we had to design something using simple materials. My friend Jason and I both made little craft projects, and we had to weigh the materials and calculate the cost. We were supposed to write down exactly what we used. Well, Jason realized he accidentally used an extra part, a piece of foam that wasn't on the supply list. That means his project costs more than everyone else's. He looked at me and whispers, "Dude, if I don't write it down, the teacher will never know." Honestly, he was right. The teacher wasn't watching. Nobody saw him take it. The foam piece was so tiny, it probably didn't even matter at all. But Jason just sat there, staring at his paper, and I could see him thinking about it. Finally, he sighed and said, "Okay, I'll add the foam. It's the truth." He wrote it in, even though it dropped his grade a little. And guess what? The teacher later said that she really appreciated his honesty and bumped his grade back up anyway. Now, here's the thing. Integrity isn't about getting caught. It isn't about making yourself look good. Integrity is about being the kind of person that tells the truth because it's the right thing to do. Integrity is being honest work, and even when it's easier to cheat. Now, integrity is also sticking to the rules, even when nobody would notice. And integrity is being trustworthy in school, in life, and even business. So the next time you see something going wrong, or someone needs help, or a situation could use like a little bit of direction, so next time you face a choice between what's easy and what's right, choose honesty, choose responsibility, and choose integrity. And show everyone that you can be lion strong. I mean, it's really true. And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Steve Weiss for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think you learned a lot about all of your work with inventing the portable bidet, and I really hope to have you on again to talk about your other projects.
I would love to. Yeah. I think that'd be great, especially the AI pet app.
Yeah. Well, also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show, and I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, Canton 98, Soul Radio 24/7, Easyway TV, and all the other stations that air my show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And hey, Steve, are you subscribed yet?
Not yet, but I will be.
Okay, well, this week, Jackson Tootle says, "This is Bloodberry," and Harrison B5B5C says, "Thanks, I love your show so much." Well, Harrison, thank you so much for watching the show, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And be sure to leave a comment on my videos, and I may even mention yours at the end of the show. And also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.